Tonight on Texas News Primetime, a vehicle crash on Barton Springs Road injures bystanders at a food truck.
A new student organization on campus brings demands for UT administration.
And UT Housing and Dining announces the plan to start offering gender-inclusive housing for several residency homes.
You're watching Texas News Primetime.
Your leader for live, local UT coverage. Good evening and welcome to Texas News Primetime for Monday, April 11th. I'm Kevin Bosker.
And I'm Andres Calixto. Thank you for joining us tonight.
On Friday, 11 people eating at a food truck were hit by a car on Barton Springs Road. 9 were injured and taken to a hospital. In fact, there was a trauma alert issued for 2 of the patients, indicating serious life-threatening injuries in need of treatment. Austin EMS provided an update after arriving at the scene. Let's take a look.
There were 2 vehicles involved. It was a T-bone type collision, and one of the vehicles was pushed into a group of pedestrians that were near the food truck. 2 of the patients that were involved were declared trauma alerts for us. One went to Del Seaton, one went to South Austin. All the patients involved were adults. 2 of the patients involved refused any treatment or transport to the hospital from us.
The Austin Police Department is continuing to investigate the situation.
The largest 10K race in the state of Texas happened yesterday. The state's capital 10K race began in 1978 and has become one of Austin's annual attractions with more than 15,000 runners racing yesterday. Since 2018, the race has not happened, with the past 3 years having been postponed because of a weather cancellation in 2019 and then COVID-19 in 2020 and 2021. This is the first time in the race's history that money was awarded to runners. First place went to David Fuentes, who won $1,500. Duriel Hardy won second place with a margin of 4 seconds behind Fuentes and was awarded $800. And coming in third place was Daniel Golden, who was awarded $200.
Our own TNP reporter Mariela Villa interviewed some members of the UT Austin chapter of Students for Democratic Society. Let's take a look.
This past Saturday, the City of Austin Parks and Recreation Department honored the late civil rights activist Joan Means Cabell, who helped to push for racial integration for both Barton Springs Pool and Zilker Park. Cabell died this past October 2021 as a teenager. In the late 1950s, she was the 3rd group of students to integrate into Austin High School. In her senior year, Cabell organized swimming, in which she was the first black person to jump into Barton Springs Pool, with continued swimmings throughout the summer. Barton Springs Pool officially integrated in 1962. At Saturday's ceremony, a PBS documentary was shown featuring Cabell, in addition to the setup of listening booths in which people had the opportunity to share personal experiences and oral histories about race and Barton Springs. According to city officials, these oral histories will serve as a part of virtual and physical exhibit at Beverly's Sheffield Education Center.
Take your vitamins and start wearing protection pads because a shortage of Austin emergency medical services may be on the rise. Austin EMS Association is so frustrated with the city's 14-cent raise increase for them that they are contemplating quitting. Workers claim that this is a, quote, slap in the face, and between the storm and the pandemic, it's gotten to be too much. The president of the association, Selena Zai, said the negotiations are currently in the works, but a strike will not take place because they have a commitment to keep the community safe.
A year before the start of the pandemic, Sam Hellman Mass, founder and owner of Suerte Restaurant, launched the Mike and Sherry Project, which is a program that intends to offer low-cost counseling to workers in about 40 participating bars and restaurants in Austin. So far, the program, through non-profit Capital Area Counseling, has provided more than 5,000 therapy sessions. This weekend, the program received funds from Baylor Scott and White Health, Tito's Handmade Vodka, the State Men's Capital 10K race, and donations from runners, totaling to $61,000. Workers in the restaurant industry who work in stressful environments for long hours, doing physically demanding work, and at times for insufficient pay, are often overlooked and are thankful of this program offering mental health services such as therapy.
A 26-year-old woman in Starr County, Texas was charged with murder after a self-induced abortion, which, according to the sheriff's department, quote, intentionally and knowingly caused the death of an individual. The district attorney, Alan Ramirez, now says that the woman, quote, cannot be and should not be prosecuted for the allegation against her. This comes in the wake of the passing of SB 8, which deputizes citizens to enforce a near-total abortion ban. This has led to approximately 1,400 Texans traveling outside the state each month for abortions, according to a study by the University of Texas.
A Texas landlord is under investigation after accepting rent relief money, but still evicting the tenants anyway. Paris Scott and her family came home only to be greeted by their belongings spread across the lawn, much stolen and locks changed. Evictions are bigger than ever. The review and audit process is a long and painful one, according to Scott, and the only thing that they can really do is rebuild and not give up.
The Texas Secretary of State recently announced that about 24,000 mail-in ballots were rejected, or about 12% of all mail-in ballots. Elections officials across Texas said that most ballots were rejected because of the stricter ID requirements enacted by SB 1. This is a significant increase as the 2020 election saw less than 1% of ballots rejected. Texas is one of the most difficult states to vote by mail, and the vast majority of those who vote by mail are over 65 or disabled.
The largest dark sky reserve in the world is coming to Texas thanks to UT's McDonald Observatory, the Nature Conservancy, and partners in Texas and Mexico. The reserve encompasses 15,000 square miles in western Texas and northern Mexico. The goal of dark sky reserves is to limit light pollution and preserve dark skies for future generations.
A more gender-inclusive option for UT students is in the works for the upcoming school year after a big push from student advocates. The 2-year pilot program is called Family and Friends Expanded Roommate Option and will allow students to present a case to University Housing Services for a more gender-inclusive living option. The university will be viewing requests on a case-by-case basis, but students like Adriana Hunter, who is a senior and a trans woman, believes that this is something that will tangibly lead to more trans students feeling included. Coming up on Texas News Primetime, we have Kevin Myers, who's going to bring you up to date on the world of business.
Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. I'm Kevin Myers with your business update. Budget airline JetBlue has offered to buy competitor Spirit Airlines. The move comes after an announcement from Frontier that they would be merging with Spirit in a deal that is now potentially in jeopardy. JetBlue offered to purchase Spirit at $33 a share for a total of roughly $3.6 billion, about 37% higher than Frontier's bid. However, Frontier's offer would allow shareholders of Spirit Airlines to keep a 48.5% share after the merger. Either way, the combined airline would likely become the 5th largest airline, prompting antitrust concerns among some Democrats in Congress. Facebook's parent company, Meta, announced plans to build a data center in Temple, Texas, about 65 miles north of Austin. The data center will support Meta's services, which include Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Facebook already employs almost 2,000 in the Central Texas region. They also recently announced plans for a new office in downtown Austin. The new office is at 6th and Guadalupe Street, which will be the tallest building in Austin when it is completed. Last Thursday, Tesla hosted a cyber rodeo in Austin where people were able to get a first look at the brand new Tesla Gigafactory. CEO Elon Musk attended and even spoke for the company's new vehicle assembly plant. Musk said that the new Austin factory is aiming to make 500,000 Model Y vehicles per year. The event was invite-only with about 15,000 attendees. The night was filled with different Tesla models and factory equipment for people to experience, along with performances and a drone light show. Last Wednesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott directed state troopers to increase inspections for commercial vehicles entering the United States from Mexico. However, this has created hours-long backups at the Texas ports of entry, which has further caused a disruption to the supply chain. Abbott says the order will secure the state's southern border, but officials in border towns that depend on cross-border trade are fearful about the negative impacts that the hours-long backups could have. Workers at many Starbucks locations announced that they are going to form unions. The first Austin location to begin the union process was the Starbucks on 24th and Nueces Streets near the University of Texas at Austin. The workers are advocating for stricter accountability for mid-level managers and higher wages as the cost of living in Austin is rapidly increasing. Coming up on Texas News Primetime will be your weekly weather update, so stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. I'm Lucy Lopez bringing you this week's weather update. This week's weather is giving up just a bit of everything nice. Tuesday's heat is coming in hot with a high of 96 and a low of 59, but luckily it won't be direct heat as there will be mild clouds to counter the sun. Wednesday, the sun is shining strong, but luckily the high won't be too intense, coming in at 79 with a low of 48. Thursday is looking just about the same with a high of 77 and a low of 47. Friday, we are expecting some rain with a high of 81 and a low of 47, but no need to cancel all weekend plans because the sun will come out tomorrow, and Saturday we will have a clear day with a high of 87 and a low of 58. Finishing off this week with chocolate bunnies and a beautiful day, Sunday will have a high of 85 and a low of 67 with some nice clouds and lots of Easter bunny fun. Well, that's it from me in the Weather Center. Now, let's take a look at what's happening in the sports world.
Hello, Kevin. How are you today?
Going well, Andres. How are you?
Pretty good myself. Let's talk about Formula One and what happened in Australia.
Yes, we had a great, amazing race in Australia. And to tell you the very least, this whole entire F1 season has just been dramatic from the get-go. We had Charles Leclerc, who had been just doing so well with Ferrari. He came in with pole position initially within qualifying rounds of F1 this season. And he started strong, and he finished strong. All the way he did just straight up amazing. The first position was Charles Leclerc, and then it finished with George Russell, and then Charles Santos. Really, Ferrari did a great job on getting on the podium. And really, it just seems like the F1 championship is just theirs in the making. I mean, nobody else is really in the way to stop them. I mean, we saw Red Bull, they have their issues with their powertrains, right? Max Verstappen not even being able to complete the race. And this is your defending world champion, right? So at the end of the day, analyzing this race, it was a very, very exciting race from the get-go. But overall, I mean, we really have a lot in store to see for Ferrari, because Charles Leclerc, man, he's been just doing just about amazing as you could.
Yeah. So let's talk about soccer now.
Yes.
What did you think of the World Cup draw?
You know, it's very interesting to say the very least. You know, everyone is talking about the U.S. being drawn in a group with England and whatnot, and there's obviously the question that can they actually advance out of the group, right? Because you have Iran in there as well, and then you have a fourth team which hasn't been figured out yet, because there's Ukraine, Scotland, and Wales playing off to get there. But it seems like a very difficult group to actually advance out of. But I don't think, to say the very least, that the U.S. men's national team is not capable of actually advancing to the next stage, right? They have really, really a strong core roster. You have Pulisic, you have Gio Reyna, and all sorts of great players. It will be, personally, I think, a disappointment if I don't see the U.S. Advancing out of the group. But at the end of the day, it's really, you really never know what can happen, right? I mean, the U.S. didn't even qualify for the past World Cup, right? So, I mean, just getting to the stage is just a big deal itself. Really, I mean, that's how low the bar is right now. But, I mean, I really think they can make a good run. I mean, as an overall view of the entire World Cup, right, it's a very interesting draw, and I don't think there necessarily is a group of death. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, Mexico has its group as well, and I mean, do you have any thoughts about that, really?
Yeah, I think it's evenly matched. I mean, I looked at the groups. There's not one group where it's really stacked. But in regards of the U.S., I think they could go somewhat far. I mean, I do believe that 2026 is most likely their year just because of the really young roster. But we'll see, because I don't know if you heard about this, but Gio Reyna recently got injured again, so we'll have to see if he's back for that. But let's talk about the Champions League. Quarterfinals are happening. Bayern versus Villarreal, Real versus Chelsea, Atletico versus Man City, and Liverpool versus Benfica. Tomorrow the 2 legs are going to be played. So, and that's going to be Bayern versus Villarreal. What do you think about that? Who do you think is going to win that game?
I mean, I honestly think it's Real's for the taking, right? And there was this piece of history that I think I just want to point out there real quick. Whenever Bayern wins the Champions League, Real Madrid does as well right after. So, I mean, it seems like history's about to repeat itself. But that's all I really have for Champions League and all.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm a Bayern fan, so hopefully they take it this year again. And
sure.
yeah.
Sure. I mean, thanks for bringing me on, Andreas.
Of course. Always a pleasure to have you, Kevin.
Thank you very much. Up next, we'll be with Sophia Kurtz and with Who Has Entertainment, and we'll catch you right after the break. Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. Coming on to the show today, we have Sophia Kurtz, our entertainment correspondent. How are you doing today, Sophia?
You know what? I'm feeling really great, Kevin. How are you? Well, first of all, actually, happy birthday.
Thank you.
It was birthday over the weekend. 20?
20, yeah.
20, no longer a teenager.
No, I am no longer a teenager. No. It's that weird age, you know, like when you're just 20 years old, you're not 21 yet.
I'm still 19, so.
It is what it is, you know?
Yes, yes, it
but
is.
let's talk about entertainment. Get straight right into the business, right?
Yes, sir.
Percy Jackson, a big news update on that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. They have just starred their Percy Jackson. His name is Walker Scobell. He is going to be playing Percy Jackson. Yeah, he is, well, for those of you who don't know, for some context, last year Disney Plus announced that they would be basically taking Percy Jackson, which was a popular book series, which was adapted into 2 films with the very dreamy Logan Lerman, and they're making it a TV series, and a lot of the fans are very happy with it. It's sort of getting its redemption because a lot of fans were unhappy with the film. But anyways, yes, Walker Scobell was casted as our Percy Jackson, so we have that to look forward to.
Oh, yes. I mean, personally, I was always like a really, really big fan of the books as well. I remember like back in elementary school, I would like, read the entire Percy Jackson series and then the Heroes of Olympus right afterwards. Man, I just had so much fun with it. But we got another piece of entertainment to talk about. Britney Spears is pregnant.
She is pregnant, yes. After a very tumultuous year that she had, I think that she deserves all of the happiness in the world with a new child. Her 3rd child, she has 2 other children, 16 and 15-year-olds.
Sean and Jaden.
Yeah, Sean and Jaden,
Yeah.
with her ex-husband, Kevin Federland. And now she is expecting a new bundle of joy with her new husband, Sam Agashi. Yeah, and
Let's hope it goes well for him and her.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think we got some bad news to deal with. We got a divorce on our hands.
yes, yes, take the bad with the good. Billy Ray Cyrus is getting a divorce from his longtime wife, Tish Cyrus. After 28 years of marriage, I guess, you know, she went and broke his achy breaky heart.
Ah, yes, that was something for sure. Oh,
Yes.
gosh. Very, very interesting news for sure. Anyways, thank you for Sophia for coming along. It's been a joy to have you along.
Thank you.
And we thank you for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter and be sure to check out our Instagram profile at TSTV News. Also, this week is 24/7 and our student-led station fundraiser where we go live for the whole week. If you want to support TSTV, visit and support studentvoices.org. I'm Kevin Bosker. Thank you for joining us this evening. And from all of us with Texas News Primetime, we wish you a good week and good health. Take care.